I'm joined by Bryce Mills, professional boxer out of Syracuse, New York. Bryce, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Blessed to be here.
So, Bryce, we're going to share your story inside and outside of the ring today. It's a little chilly in Syracuse. You've been in Florida already. We'll get to that. I'm obviously in Florida. I'm in the Snapwell Studios in Orlando, Florida, and we're so glad to have you here today. So, Bryce, if you could share where you were born and talk about your childhood.
Of course. I was born in Syracuse, New York. I live in Liverpool, right outside of Syracuse. And, I'm blessed to have the family that I have. My family's always been so supporting. As a kid, I was crazy, to say the least. I played just about every single sport you can name, from soccer to football to martial arts, where I got my start. So I started doing martial arts at the age of 4 years old. And from that point on, I climbed up the ranks. I got my black belt actually in martial arts and started kickboxing. And then once I got my black belt, I started, we call it fight training. And I started kickboxing then. In my first fight, since I couldn't find an opponent kickboxing because there's not a lot of kickboxers, I actually ended up taking a boxing fight. So my boxing fight, I won. It was a 3-round unanimous decision win. And, just like everybody's first fight, you go out there, the nerves are rushing, adrenaline's pumping. I went out there and I probably threw 600 punches in 3 rounds and just put my head down, just kept going. So, ever since then, when we realized I can kind of do both, I can kickbox and I can box, I took it as the fights came, and I did a little bit of both, sprinkled it in. But my main avenue was always kickboxing up until I turned professional, and we said the best thing for me and the best thing for my future would just be to go the boxing route.
Okay. So, and just going back to square one, what was your first introduction? How did it come to you getting into boxing? Obviously, you played in kickboxing, excuse me. You played so many different sports. You're an athlete. Kind of talk to me about that transition, how to get to boxing. I mean, you're in upstate New York. We'll get into that. Yeah. Obviously, I have my Syracuse shirt on today. I'm representing your area, my area, the team. But how to get to boxing?
So it got to boxing because there was really just no opportunities in kickboxing, to the point where there's so many boxers in upstate New York and Syracuse area, New York, Rochester, to the point where if I wanted to fight, it'd be way easier to find another opponent that was a boxer opposed to a kickboxer. So I was just, at the time, I wanted to fight. Like, no matter what it was, if it was an MMA fight, if it was a street fight, if it was anything, I would have took it, just because I've been training so long. I want to get in the ring and want to do what I do. So I took a fight against a boxer from Syracuse area as well at the age of, I think I want to say 11 years old. And that was my first boxing fight.
Wow. So, Bryce, you're now 19 years old. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you've essentially, since 4 years old, you're 15 years in already. This is what you do.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And being that I'm an upstate guy, as you know, we've spoken off camera, and just meeting you down here in Florida and learning that, man, there's a boxer from Syracuse, New York, and there's a lot of history in upstate New York. You're not too far from, a lot of people don't realize, the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And I can never say this right, but Canastota, New York. And I should be able to say that a little bit better. Was that any motivation growing up for you, knowing that the International Boxing Hall of Fame is literally around the corner?
It is pretty cool. The history, you said it, in upstate New York, as far as boxing goes, is so broad. We have so many boxers just from down here and New York area. Obviously, the fights at the Garden. You got the Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota. So just growing up in an area where a lot of people follow the sport, and the sport has such a rich history, it's motivating in itself, in its own right, to go out and do what I do.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking back over the course of the history of boxers in upstate and Western New York, Central New York.
Yeah,
Carmen Basilio came to mind. I'm sure
yeah, yeah.
your parents and others and grandparents are aware of the great champion. Um, Carmen was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, I think, almost 30 years ago. I want to say 1990. Um,
Yeah.
he was a welterweight and middleweight world champion. He beat Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, he ended up, unfortunately, when he passed away, he was in Rochester, and he's a big deal to just the whole um, Western New York and upstate New York community. And a lot of people seem to forget
Definitely is.
about him, but what a legend
Yep.
in the sport. You had Charles Murray, who I've had the honor to meet. He actually was a junior welterweight, won the IBF title, I want to say 1993. He was a Rochester guy. You had Baby Joe Messi. Willie
Hmm.
Monroe, who's a buddy of mine, is still fighting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a lot of history. You have the International Boxing Hall of Fame there. And I really wanted to harp on that today. Being an upstate guy, you're an upstate guy. And I won't keep talking. We'll get your story, not mine today. Um,
Mhm.
so, Bryce, as you moved forward in the sport and you continued to go from now learning to competing, talk about that transition.
Man, the first time I can remember stepping on the mats and actually, sparring, it was had to be I was probably 7 years old at the time, and from the time I stepped on the mats, I was the type of kid that my coach always had to tell me, easy, slow down, because I was just everything I do, I want to do it 110%, and I want to put all my effort into whatever I'm doing. So I was sparring kids, and it wasn't a sparring match. It was a fight. You know what I mean? I go in there and I throw. My coach had to tell me a couple of times, pull me off to the side, and he was like, Bryce, like you got to calm down. You got to calm down. So you're just training. You're just sparring. So at the time, I was always that kid who you didn't want to spar. But as growing up with martial arts and obviously with the background that I have, I learned, I gotta slow down. I learned self control. I learned discipline, and I learned the importance it is to work with a teammate and to learn. Not just to go out there and just brawl, but the science behind boxing, the science behind fighting. It's more of a mind game than it is anything else. So I used to rely on my athleticism, just go out there and fight my fight, but now I'm starting to realize the importance of your mind. It's a chess game, and the greats like Floyd Mayweather, like Pernell Whitaker. I'm talking Sugar Ray Leonard, the greats. They all say it. You can see it when they fight. They come in with a game plan. They come in with a strategy, and they use their mind over anything else. So yeah,
Yeah, you hit a key term there, strategy. And I think a lot of times people don't understand you have to have multiple game plans in boxing. Obviously,
oh,
it's
for
not a
sure.
game. We know the sport is so difficult, but we see a lot of guys that have plan A, B, and C, but
Hmm.
that's it. And they might only have plan A or B. Now we got to take you to Z. And Canelo comes to mind. And it's the kind of
Yeah,
guy, the fighter that has so many different, makes so many adjustments. And it's so difficult to understand what your opponent is doing sometimes or how things are going on in that ring. But to be able to
yeah.
make the adjustments on the fly is truly impressive. So just having a strategy and a game plan is very important. Who are some of the fighters that you looked up to, who you still look up to now? Obviously, you're only 19 years old, but growing up, learning the sport of boxing, who are some of the fighters you looked up to?
That's a tough one. As far as and I have fighters I study, and then I have fighters I watch because they're just entertaining and I just love watching them. But if I'm gonna go with fighters that I just love to watch, entertaining fighters, you gotta go with the guys right now. Tyson Fury is I love him. I love his personality. I love his interviews. I love everything about him. Watching him is great. I think he's the most dominant heavyweight in that division right now. And just you talk about boxing IQ, he's got it all. So from Tyson Fury to you said it, Canelo Alvarez. I actually like Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant's another one that comes to mind. Who, if you're talking about boxing IQ, he has it. He has the footwork. He's got sweet hands. So yeah, those are some of the guys as far as an entertainment. aspect of things I like to watch. But if we're talking studying the game, I have to go all the way back to the true greats. Few guys I study all the time. I watch their fights. I watch their training videos. I watch everything. I spend a lot of time studying boxers because I think it's so productive to my own training, my own fighting. Would have to be Sugar Ray Leonard, number one. I love watching him. His footwork, his combinations, his defense, and he always came into a fight with a game plan. And if that game plan didn't work out, he switched it up. You saw it in the Tommy Hearns fight when he came out there. In the first few rounds, it was a little rocky. Once it got to the 6th, 7th round, you saw him turn the tide. And then in the 10th, 11th round, he was beating Tommy Hearns up, which is, it's just Tommy Hearns is no joke.
Yeah.
So Sugar Ray Leonard, he's one of them. Roy Jones Jr. is another who just, if you're talking the unique aspect to his game, it's unlike any other fighter. So if I can just sprinkle a little bit of his unique explosiveness, his fakes, his feints, if I can just sprinkle a little bit of that into my game, it just makes me that much better. So him, of course, Floyd Mayweather, his defense, his intelligence. There's a lot of greats that I study, and there's a lot of people that I watch that help me a lot.
That's awesome. As a young man, you're really taking it back, and you're doing your homework. I remember a fight that comes to mind, and it's a little more, obviously, in our era, so to say. Terrence Crawford, when he fought Yorkis Gamboa, if you look at the fight in the first few rounds, I want to say Terrence was fighting orthodox, switched it up to southpaw, and then it wasn't working, though. And they said, well, why are you staying southpaw? He continued, made some more adjustments, and we saw what the end result was. But just making those adjustments and having that game plan is so important. And like you said, just how fighters adjust mid-fight and having that strategy. But that's so awesome. You go back and you're doing your homework, Bryce, and that's exciting to hear. A young man and an upstate guy. I'm really excited, man. It's a blessing to have you on today to share your story. Bryce, yeah, listen, and we'll do more in the future. I definitely look forward. I'm going to be up there in March. Maybe I'll stop by your gym. I'm going to be up there in that area. I'm going to make my way to the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Finally, it's overdue. I grew up in the area and never went. Maybe I just took it for granted. I don't know why. But have you been? I hope you've been, or have you gone yet?
Yeah, I've been a couple times. It's, people forget about it. People forget that it's in Canastota, which is right outside of Syracuse. And it's crazy because, the Boxing Hall of Fame, it's such a big deal, and it's right next door to us. I feel like as a community, Syracuse has to be a little more vocal about the Boxing Hall of Fame and just get it out there that, go visit it. Just go. There's so much history. There's everything down there. Go see it. Go, walk through, watch some of the fights, meet some people down there. It's a great experience.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, it's kind of one of those hidden gems that people forget about in upstate New York. And I look forward to finally making my way over there. So I'll have to let you know. Maybe we can hit it up.
For sure.
So, Bryce, as far as your team, talk to me about your relationship. You're part of Team Andrello. How did you meet, your coach, the team that you work with to this day? And we'll get more in how you transition from amateur to pro.
Mm-hmm. So my head coach, Jim Andrello is his name. I've actually known him since the age of 4 when I started martial arts. He was my lead karate instructor at the time, but he's more than just a karate instructor. He's trained notable names in MMA and in kickboxing, such as I don't know if you've heard of Matt Brown, Matt Hamill.
Yes.
Some of those guys in MMA as far as that goes, and then some of my teammates in kickboxing and in boxing, Kevin Van Ostrand, who was a national champion, world champion, kickboxing, Louis Ashkar, a few of the guys that, just to name. But I've known him forever. From the time that I was 5, he was always someone I looked up to, and everybody when you talked about his name, he was on such a pedestal because of what he achieved. He was actually a fighter in the ring. He was a kickboxer, and he took a couple boxing fights, but mainly a kickboxer. And he was just you want to talk about nasty, he was nasty. You want to talk about like someone who went to the body and just digged, and someone you didn't want to be in the ring with, he was that guy. So yeah, I've always looked up to him. And from the time that I was 11 years old and I started fighting, he was the lead instructor, the fighting coach. So that's when I started to get a little closer to him. And ever since then, he's really been a father figure to me. Just like my parents, obviously, I got a great dad, I got a great mom, but he's also been another father figure to me. He's that close to me, and I see him all the time, you know, every single day, because I'm constantly in the gym, constantly working. And he's someone that you got to have that. I feel like you got to have that relationship with your coach where you can communicate. You know, communication is such a big deal, because if you guys aren't on the same page, I don't care how great of a coach you have, it's never going to work. But he's someone that realizes that, and that I can communicate with and talk to. And if something's not going right for me, I can talk to him. We can get it figured out together as a team to come back, address that problem, and fix it. So he's just, I can't say enough good things about him. He's the best.
That's awesome. The relationship you have. Shout out to Coach Andrello and the team that works with Bryce
Yes,
Mills. Truly sounds like you really guys are moving in a positive direction. Now, the question is, 19, what led to turning pro? You had a 15-1 amateur record in boxing. Yeah. You were 28-1 as an amateur in kickboxing. You spoke about the transition from kickboxing to boxing, and that's your focus now. You fight in welterweight. For those of you that don't know, Bryce fights at 147 pounds. When was the decision and kind of the transition to say, you know what, we're in 16 fights in the amateur, let's go pro?
So that decision came when I actually took my first professional kickboxing fight at the age of 17. And I did it overseas in Dubai, actually, which was amazing. It was great to be down there. It was a crazy experience. I can talk all day about that. But yeah, the decision came when I feel like I beat the guys I had to in the amateur ranks. Obviously, in boxing, 15-1, it's not a lot of amateur fights. But as far as the people I was training with and the success I was having in and out of the gym, sparring people, and my opponents in the ring, my team thought it was the best decision for me to take it up to that next level and start my career young and build it over time. And obviously, I'm not just going full head of steam into things and just running into the best people in the world at 17 years old. No, obviously you take those fights where you got to build yourself up, because I'm still learning. I'm still a kid. And yeah, I took my first professional kickboxing fight at the age of 17. Then I had 2 fights, one at 17, one at 18 in kickboxing. And then I turned pro in boxing at the age of 18, but it was kind of at the start of all this COVID stuff. So it became so hard to find me a fight. I was training 3 times a day, 6 days a week for, I want to say 6 months straight. Wow. And I couldn't find a fight because of all this, of COVID and everything. And it was heartbreaking. We had a couple cancellations. Yeah, so it was tough at times just to stay with it. And I was like, when am I going to get that fight? When am I going to get that opportunity in boxing to show what I have? And it came October 13th was my first professional boxing fight.
Yeah, I was in Lakeland, Florida.
I was 19 years old. So, yeah.
Definitely. And congratulations to turning pro. You're now 2-0 with a knockout. Your second fight was actually just last month in St. Petersburg. You got your first KO. The first fight you won by unanimous decision. Your second fight, you got a knockout. And you have a fight coming up. You said, you know what? I got the opportunity. I can finally get in the ring. And you have a fight. Is that Rock Hill, South Carolina?
Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Coming up this Saturday. For all you those that are interested, is there a streaming service that people can watch the fight on, or do you know?
Yeah, it's actually, I posted the link in my Instagram bio at B Mills. It's with Southpaw Promotions. So you can actually visit I think it's like southpawpromotions.com. Just go on their website and buy the event listed to watch me fight. It's on their pay-per-view. So, or you can just go to my Instagram. It's in my bio. You can click that to make it easy.
Awesome. You're looking forward, I'm sure, to getting your third fight in 3 months. I mean, you're staying busy. The goal
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like it is to stay busy. Bryce, what are your short-term goals and what are your long-term goals in your professional boxing career?
Well, man, short-term goals as far as that goes is to fight as much as possible. You know, stay busy as my career starts to develop. Be a little more patient down the road as I start to get to more experienced opponents. You know, be patient. Take maybe 4 fights a year, which I know is still active, but for me, I used to fight every single at least once a month. You know what I mean? So to me, it's not really that active. I have to stay active. I'm the type of person that I just got to keep my mind set on a goal and keep myself active. So yeah, as far as short term goals go, is stay active, stay in the gym, keep working, keep fighting. And long term goals, I would like by the age of, let's say, I think 23, 24, I want to be in the opportunity, have the chance to be a contender and to really be one of those guys that's pushing for the title of the WBC, WBA, WBO, any of the titles, or even all three. I want to be by the age of 23, 24. I want to be right in there, be one of those guys.
That's awesome. And in tossing the IBF there, you might be over in Dubai again. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So, it's so exciting to hear a young man that's watching the greats, has short-term, long-term goals in just boxing. Who is Bryce Mills outside of boxing?
I'd have to say a family man, family man. My family means so much to me. I got a little sister, my mom, my dad, even my cousins. I grew up with the best family in the world. From the time I was 6 years old, 5 years old, you know, I just have so many good memories. I was fortunate enough to have a father and to have a mother that played such a big role in my life. And I really can't thank them enough. My dad is someone I can go to. He's like my best friend. He really is. I can talk to him about anything, and he drives me to training since I was a little kid. Every single day, he's watching me. He's asking me questions, and he wasn't a boxer, but he's picked so much up about the game because when I'm studying fights, he's watching them with me. He's studying fights. So he's actually almost became kind of like, I can call him like an assistant coach now because he's watched so much boxing and he's learned the sport over the years that I've been in it that he's almost like a coach to me. But it's not just about boxing, you know, it's about him being such an amazing father figure to me. And my mother, I can't say enough good things about her as well. Uh, Super caring, the type of person that if you have nothing, she wants to give you everything. You know, she's amazing to my friends. My friends, they can even call her a mother because she's just that type of person. So even my grandparents, my cousins, my family is just so important to me.
It's truly amazing the relationship you have with your family, and they've been able to support you in your professional boxing career, even leading up to that. And that relationship is so important. You've
Yeah.
taken advantage of it in a positive way, and that's truly awesome, Bryce. I commend you, and I'm happy to hear that you're going to continue to push forward, and your family's all behind you as well as the community. So we'll
Yeah,
harp
for
on that
sure.
a little. You went to Liverpool High School, and I was reading an article online. They did coverage on you. Where are they now? And that's so awesome that you're still representing your community as you move forward in the next step and chapter in your life.
No doubt. No doubt.
Share about what Central New York means to you and what you want to do for the community moving forward with your professional boxing career.
Uh, the community's been a huge part of where I am now is because of them. The support I got motivates me every single day to do what I do. Eventually, when I make it, because, you know, I want to have that confidence. Uh, I want to give back to my community and have the opportunity to do so because they've been so giving to me. And uh, I've had opportunities since I was just a little kid to take a fight here, and I'd have my family members, people and friends, everybody I know from upstate New York was at that fight supporting me. We sold out my last 10 amateur kickboxing fights. We basically sold out the entire arena with just people that came for me. And I can't say enough to my fan base, to my friends, to my family, to everybody supporting me from upstate New York, Syracuse area. It's an honor. It's a blessing to have you guys. It really is.
Definitely, and I, as a Central New Yorker, Western New Yorker, I support you, and I look forward to you progressing in your career, Bryce.
Thank you.
As we wrap up today on the Sunday Sit-Down Series, we're live in the Snapwell Studios. Bryce Mills, so happy to have you on here. I'm representing my orange today, loud and proud.
I love it. Love it.
And what would you like to say to the youth coming up in the sport and those that may be interested in combat sports in general?
Anything's possible. To kids watching this, to really adults, anything's possible. Chase your dream. People might tell you you're crazy, but chase your dream. I never knew I would be where I'm at now, and it's just the beginning. I know I'm not, one of the best professionals out there. I'm not on TV. I'm not this, that. I can say a million things, but I'm blessed to have the opportunity that I have right now and to be in the position that I'm at. And if I was 6 years old, I never would have known that I was going to get this opportunity. Just chase your dreams. If you're passionate about something, whether it be computers, whether it be video games, whatever you're passionate about, go out and do it. Follow your heart, and that's what eventually is going to lead down the road to be a career for you. If you stick with it, you have the right dedication, the right purpose, the right effort. If everything's there in the right spot, it can be your career. So eventually, my dad always told me, would you want to be doing something that you love or that you hate? Even if I'm making less money, I want to be doing something that I love. Money's not that important. I wouldn't want to be making, I don't care if it's $1 million. I wouldn't want to be making $1 million doing something that I can't stand. I want to be doing something that I love. So even though $1 million is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but yeah, so.
Definitely. Pursue your passions. Well said, Bryce. What would you like to say to those watching, fans, followers during these tough times?
Keep going. Put your head down and keep going. And I know, especially right now, mental health is a big issue. People, sometimes I feel like they got no one to talk to. There's always someone out there. There's always someone out there that's willing to listen, especially during everything going on. If you're losing your job, if you're struggling to make money, if your business is closing down or something like that is going on, happening to you, there's people out there that you can talk to, and it's going to get better. Everybody says, I know if it's feel like for me, this thing has gone on for years, even though it's only been 8 months, 9 months.
Right.
So just keep going. It's going to end, and life is going to return to normal. Just put your head down and keep working.
Keep working, keep going. Bryce Mills, thank you so much for joining me on the Sunday Sit-Down Series. We look forward to seeing you progress and representing Central and Western New York in the boxing world. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Take care.
See ya. Thank you.